Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Derp Your Hooves. So today we're going to be flying in the Cowansim Bell 206. Now, I chose this helicopter today over the 407 just because it's more precise than the 407, and it's perfect for the hovering that we're going to be doing today, because I did promise you guys at one point that I was going to teach you how to hover, so that's what we're going to do today in this Bell 206. So one of the things that I noticed pretty quickly was that I'm having problems keeping the helicopter straight and pretty much, parallel with the runway as I fly down the runway. And it feels like I'm fighting a pretty strong crosswind. Well, so this is why when you're using live weather and live time, you really need to check what the wind speed is at the airport you're taking off at, because the sim, I guess, is fairly accurate for this, and we are flying helicopters, and if you remember what I said, helicopters act as a wind vane, like on top of a barn, and they tend to just kind of get blown around as such, so it means that we're going to have to apply, opposite torque on the rudder pedals or the torque pedals to try and keep it straight. And then we're also going to have to be playing with our pitch trim as we're going. So, I mean, again, it's just, more of the realism if you're going to be flying helicopters in live weather, that there are going to be elements that you're going to have to master as you fly. So you can see here that I'm pretty much fighting with my trim, and I'm using the trim on the collective and on the stick today, so I'm sorry if that confuses some of you if you're watching my hands on how I'm flying, but the trim on the collective works better than the trim on the cyclic. So I tend to use that more, but it's the same principle if you have trim on a cyclic. As long as you have a good stick or a good cyclic, as long as you're adjusting your trim, you should be able to level out the helicopter during flight, even with a crosswind. So I know I said I was going to fly down the whole length of the runway like you're supposed to in a helicopter, but again, I didn't check the crosswind before I began the flight, and that's my fault. That's on me. So, for people who are new to the sim, if you've ever tried to take off and even like a fixed wing airplane and you have the live weather on, and all of a sudden the plane yaws in a weird direction, and it's not necessarily due to torque, and you're like, something's wrong with the sim or something's wrong with this third party aircraft, it's not always the aircraft. It's not always that there might be a glitch in the sim. It could be that you just have live weather on and you didn't check the crosswind. So, again, we're going to fly around and we're going to look for the windsock, because I don't remember where it is. And if I look at the windsock at the airport, it's kind of a fairly accurate gauge to, what's going on. So pay attention to the windsock chart because remember it's about 28 to about 30 um, knots of crosswind here, and the windsock is a really good indicator. And as we go around it, we're actually going to experience the weather vane effect that you get in a helicopter with some, moderate crosswinds. And some of you may be thinking right there that, Pony's just a lousy helicopter pilot, and I'm not the best. I mean, but, just the wind to catch you the right way as you're rotating around will do stuff like that to you, and you have to learn how to compensate with all of your skills. So that was fun with the windsock hunt there, and that little adventure with experiencing just how the weather vane effect really works on a helicopter when you go ahead and shift around in a little bit of a moderate crosswind. And let's go over here to some of these salvaged parked aircraft and go do some hovering. So, hovering is one of the most difficult things you can do, and your collective is going to control your up and down, or your upward motion and your downward motion, and your cyclic is going to control your pretty much your pitch and roll, your forward and backward and side to side motion, and you're going to use that in conjunction with the rotor trim. And again, I'm using it on my collective, so pay attention to my collective hand as I hover, and just go ahead and pay attention to that and the slip indicator on the instrument panel because I can't show you my rudder pedals, and this should pretty much show you how to hover. So that's it for the hovering portion of the flight. And we're pretty much just going to land right here. I mean, because we can, and we already kind of deviated from things, so we're not really going to go ahead and land on the runway and then taxi to parking. I just wanted to show you guys how to hover, and as a plus, we got, a nice little bit of crosswind flying there. So you may have noticed that I'm wearing some stuff to go ahead and cover my face, because the thing is, Pony doesn't show his face, and if you'd like to see my face, well, it's going to take 5,000 subscribers in order for Pony to show his face on a live stream or any of the Derp Your Hooves YouTube videos. So if you like what you saw today, feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Derp Your Hooves. And as always, thank you for watching Derp Your Hooves, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the skies.